Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Sherman Jill Spirit Divine. I'm here to give you a little show, news and a word on tonight. First we're gonna start with retirement benefit age for Social Security. You can start receiving your Social Security retirement benefit as early as age of 62. So they are entitled to full benefits. When you reach your full retirement age at 70. Now your full benefits is at 70, but you wish to try to get it before 70, you can at the age of 62. You know, but they're trying to raise the age to 66, between 66 and 67. Many people retire early due to health issues. And um, most people work on a job. Sometimes don't even have retirement benefits. You know, some jobs don't even have benefits at all. So and a lot and what's going on in this world right now. A lot of people not making it to 67 and 70 years old. So I don't even think they should raise it. Should raise it between 66 and 67. You know, so they're trying to raise to 66, 67. Many people retire early, due to health issues and some, so they're receiving theirs at 62 years old. And most people that still on their job trying to get the full benefit, you know, they can receive theirs at 70 years old. So I request that Social Security age remain at 62. I request that retirement benefit for disability, remain, because they're trying to cut government funds for disability. They can't work no more. This their own income. They have. So I request for the Social Security age to remain at 62. And disability to continue on getting their benefits, because if they don't get this income, they can't work nowhere. Especially the ones that's can't read or write and in wheelchairs and stuff. This the only income they have. So I'm gonna come back to Social Security. So we still talking about Samuel and Saul. So Saul made king. So now Saul have the spirit. Now remember last fact, God had put his spirit on Saul. So when Saul went home, he was the prophets, and they all prophesizing, and while his friends staying out, when he came home, they're like, is that Saul? 'Cause Saul left one way as a normal, ordinary boy looking for the donkeys, and he come back prophesizing, being with preachers and all this kind of stuff. They're trying to figure out if that's Keith's son right there who left looking for the donkey and come back as a whole changed man, because he have the spirit of God over him. So now Saul have the spirit of God, came upon him, in power. And then he was able to prophesy among the three men. Now you remember, Samuel had told when he walked with Samuel, the three guys was already prophesying. So Samuel told him, he said sooner or later you're gonna be prophesying just like them, right along with them. So Saul was a changed man, and Samuel told him, whatever your hands find to do, for God is with you. I said that yesterday. He said once it came to pass. So when it came to pass, when God put that spirit on him, and he just started prophesying, talking in tongues, then Samuel had told him, whatever you do, God gonna be with you. Because see, he dealing with the Israelite. That's God's chosen. So he got to answer to God. He can't just do things on his own. So as Saul had turned to lead Samuel, God had changed Saul's heart. And all these signs were fulfilled that day. So they did a lot in one day. So when he and his servant arrived at Gabriel, a process and a prophet had met him, and he was supposed to meet the three guys. So the Spirit of God came powerful upon him, and he joined in their prophesied. You know, 'cause remember Samuel told you, once God, put his spirit all over you. You know, you see this guy prophesied, you're going to be prophesied right along with him. So when the Spirit of God came powerful upon Saul, he was able to join in and start prophesying with these three men. You know, so when all those had formerly known him, saw him prophesying with the prophet, they asked each other, "What is this? You know, what is this that had happened to Key's son?" They want to know what had happened to Key's son. All we know that he went out looking for the donkey and he coming back talking in tongues. You know, is Saul also among the prophet? You know, they're trying to figure out, is that Saul? You know, he with these prophets and it seemed like he prophesied right along with them. I see Saul mouth moving. They're trying to figure out if that's the same boy that left here and now he come back being religious. You know, now God had told many prophets to predict certain event. You know, so Saul was prophesizing, but when Saul's friend, heard, and they was inspired by the words that's coming from Saul. You know, so they couldn't believe that he was Saul. You know, is Saul also among the prophets? They're trying to figure out he was those people. So this was an expression of surprise, at worldliness that Saul becoming religion. Now all this happened in one day. He become to be religion in one day. So God had changed his heart. So a man who lived there answered, and who is their father? So it becomes saying, is Saul also among the prophets? They're trying to find out who's the three men. Who's the three men fathers? We already know that Saul is Keish's Saul father. But they're still trying to figure out if that's the same Saul that left out of here. So his friend seeing Saul among the prophets, and Saul left home being an ordinary boy, but come back home with a prophet. So after Saul stopped prophesying, he went to the high place. So now he go to the high place now since he a king. He don't need no invitation no more. So now Saul is one of them now. He don't need invitations to go to the high place. So now Saul uncle asks him, is your service? What have you been? Because he took a long time, looking for the donkey. That's why he said, we got to go back home because my father gonna stop worrying about the donkey and gonna start worrying about him. So the uncle said, where have you been at? So he said, looking for the donkey. He said, well, when we saw that there was not to be found, we had went to Samuel, and Saul uncle said, tell me what about Samuel? Who is Samuel? Tell me about him. What he say? Because see, nobody don't know Samuel right now. So now the uncle, where were you? And he said Samuel. So now the uncle wants to know what Samuel said. Because they see, he wants to know what Samuel said. Because I see a change in my nephew right here. I see my nephew. He walking around with prophets. He prophesizing. He talking in tongues. I want to know, who is this Samuel? What Samuel has said to you that you are a changed man right now. Because they see a change in Saul. Coming home with prophets. Prophesizing something that he never did before. He left looking for the father's donkey. But Saul replied, he assured us that the donkey had been found. But he did not tell his uncle. He did not tell his uncle the whole story. He just told him that when he talked to Samuel, about his donkey, he said, Samuel said the donkey has been found. They're okay. But he didn't tell his uncle that he been chosen to be a king. So he left that part out. So Samuel had said about didn't say anything about the kingship. So Saul did not tell his uncle the whole story. Just the donkey was found, but he was also anointed, as king over Israel. That's big news. But he chose not to tell his uncle, But he did not tell his uncle. That I guess he said when the good news for last. Now Samuel had some of the people of Israel to the law and mass pact. You know, um, that's a land they go to when they have their meetings and stuff like that. So where they had their meeting. So Samuel had said to them, "This is what the Lord said, the God of Israel." Now he about to represent Saul. So now he calling all the Israel to that land. That's where they always go at to have their little meetings and stuff to let them know who their king is. You say you want a king. So now this is God talking. I brought Israel up out of Egypt, and I deliver you from the power of Egypt, and all the kingdom that oppress you, but you have now reject your God, who saved you out of all your disaster, and all your chaos, and you have said no upon a king over us, So now you representing yourself before the Lord by your trials and change. So God feel a little offended about that, because God is the best king that you can have. You reject God as king, and you say, well, give us a king. Well, you got the best king that you can have. So Israel, true king was God. A king with power. But the nation demanded another king. Imagine want a human being instead of God, as God guide you, lead you, throughout your history, feed you. That's a king that with power. Now it's if you get hungry and thirsty, you think Saul gonna be able to do magic, hit a rock and drop food down? No. So when Samuel, had all Israel had come forward by trial, the tribes of Benjamin was taken by lot. The Israelite chose their first king. This gonna be their first king, because that they had Moses, then they had Joshua, then they had Ei, then they had the other one before Ei. So they're pretty much with just leaders and stuff like that. This gonna be their first king. By casting like using the Urim and doing something that the high priest, wherein God instructed the Israelite to make the specific purpose of consulting him in a time such as this. So now Saul gonna be special. First Saul was at the high place eating thighs and all kind of food and stuff. And now he had to meet the three men and he started prophesying. Now he been about to be represented in front of the Israelite, and then you still got people there gonna be playing music and all this kind of stuff. All that just for Saul. Just for Saul. Now using the Urim, the Israelite was taking a decision out of their own hands and turning it over to God. Now I might not be pronouncing it right. Urim, that is a quote, that go over you for a priest. So God had them to make that for this time like this here. It was a special occasion. See, God already knew who he was going to have for king. So that's why he had told them, this was like months ago, he had told them, go ahead and sew up this crib right here. So God didn't tell them, who it was for. He just told them to make it. And it was for this occasion. So then he brought forward the tribes of Benjamin and came by chain. And it was taken. But finally, Saul, the son of Kish, was taken. They thought he was taken, But when they looked for him, he was not to be found. Now see, Saul's getting scared right now. They're trying to represent him in front of the Israelite now. Now they told Israelite, we got you a king now. But it's time for Saul to come stand forward. So now they're looking for Saul. So now all these good things has happened to Saul. They're trying to represent him, as king, to the Israelite, so now they're looking for Saul, so they inquired, farther of the Lord, has the man come here yet? So, and the Lord said, yes, he had hidden him. So, see, you can't hide from God. They're looking for Saul. Everybody looking for something, because they represent him in front of the Israelites, and they're like, what is it? You know, but God, the only one can see. God, it's the only one can know where you at. You know, so God said he had hidden himself among the supplies. Now he done got scared. He done got scared because he already know the Israelite is a tough cookie. You know, they didn't reject Samuel, two sons, didn't reject God, you know, didn't give Moses, you know, a hard time. You know, this is a tough cookie. You know, so they know how the Israelite can reject you a quick in a hurry. You know, so he getting scared, he panicking. You know, so God see him hiding. You know, so when the Israelite assembly, you know, to chose a king, Saul already knew he was the one. He already know he was the one, so he just broke out and ran. You know, instead of coming forward, however, he hid among the baggage. And now often we hide from important responsibility because we are afraid. We afraid, or we're afraid of failure, you know, or we're afraid of rejection. You know, perhaps unsure, you know, about how to proceed it. You know, Saul afraid to step up to his future responsibility. This is his future. You know, his whole life turned around by him just wandering around in that lane. But that was planned for him to run around in the lane. You know, so now it's time for him to represent himself. You know, in front of the Israelite. Now he know Israelites tough cookie. He already know they're reject, you know, kings already. And anytime you reject God, you know, you is a tough cookie. You know, so now Saul is scared. So Saul is hiding. So they brought him out, and he is a tall man now, and trying to hide, you know, and he stood among the people, and he was head taller than any of the others, so that he was real tall, and trying to bend over and hide, you know. So Samuel represents Saul to the Israelite and go and hide, but they brought him out and stood him among the people, and we see that Saul must be real tall, because that's all they keep talking about, how tall he is. I was trying to pull it up, I couldn't even find. And as I said, I need to see how tall he is. That's all they keep saying, how tall he is. Now Samuel said to all the people, you know, do you see, you know, the man the law had chosen? Let him know God had chosen you. Y'all want a king, so God had picked this. God had chosen this king for them. You know, so there is no one like him among all the people. You know, because, you know, him and Samuel had a one-on-one talk. Samuel said he an ordinary boy. You know, so then the people had shouted, you know, there was long live the king. So there was a police that was happy with him. You know, he was real tall, and they started shouting because they was excited. You know, so it seemed like they happy, they seen their new king, and they start shouting. So Samuel explained to the people the rights, you know. So don't forget about this here, because God already told you, when you get a human king, you're gonna lose some rights. So now Samuel about to tell them about the rights that they're about to lose right now. So Samuel explained to the people the rights and duties of kingship. Now he wrote them down on a scroll and deposited it before the Lord. You know, because, you know, after you write stuff down, you know, that's just like we do right now. When we write policies down and stuff like that, it still got to go to another person, you know, and they got to approve it and then sign it off. So that's the same thing. Samuel wrote all the rules and stuff down, then he had to deposit it to God. And God had to approve it, sign it, seal it, and everything else. You know, so then Samuel dismissed the people to go to their own home. You know, so that's all they had to do to represent Saul, represent their new king. So the king of Israel had specific regulation, you know, outlined for them. You know, other kings made their own law in answer to no one. See, they want to be like everybody else. They can't be like everybody else, you know, because God had chose y'all to be in this land, chose y'all, you know, to be this nation. So they got to stop trying to be like the other nation. Because see, the other kings in the other nation, they're not under God. So they make up their own rule and do things their way. You know, so Samuel trying to tell them, you know, other kings do things their way. They don't have to answer to no one. But Israel king, you know, had to answer to the higher authority, which is the law of heaven on earth. You know, the Lord heaven on earth. The Israelite now, they have a king like everyone else, like they wanted, but just as they wanted, but Samuel in charge of the Israelite and Saul. He was too old to be their king, to be, running and going out to battles and all that kind of stuff. So that's why he had to give it to somebody younger than him to do the activity. But he's still in charge of Israel. He's still gonna be in charge of soccer. Still got to get a little training. Just the first time doing all this stuff. So in the charge of the people and the king. So Samuel wanted to make sure, that the rule of Israel king would be different. The rules for their king gonna be different from the other nation rules of their king. So God don't deal with them. God is over the Israelite. God over everyone, but he pretty much over the ones that he chose is the Israelite. So their king gonna have different rules than the kings in other nations. So he deposited it before the Lord, and Samuel had put the book, as a witness to the agreement. So in a special place of Mezan, where the meeting was at. So where the meeting was at, he passed it on to God, and God had to look over it, had to prove it, seal it, and everything else. And then Samuel hid it where the land that there was at had where the meeting was held at. So Saul also had went to his home, in Galilee, accompanied by men who heart God had touched. So a lot of times, they come around the Israelite. That's God people. And God had touched these men's heart that was around the Israelite on their land. But some say, how can this fella save us? So a lot of time, when you get representative in charge, you're not gonna please everyone, cause see they represent Saul, let everyone know they're gonna be he gonna be the king, So this person here, how this person here gonna represent us? How he gonna save us? So you had some people like the Saul, and you had some people despise him. But some say, how can this fellow save us? They despised him and brought him no gift. But Saul kept silent, and he did the right thing. Sometimes it's hard to be silent, but sometimes you have to be silent. He just been represented as king. So most of the Israelites, like him, and most of them despise him, And most of the time when you represent someone as a king, you buy a gift. So the ones that despise him, they refuse to buy him a gift. They didn't want to acknowledge him. They didn't want to accept him as a king. They said, how can he save us? Now some men became Saul Constance's companion. So while others despised him, so now you can't please everyone. You will have someone despise you. In this case, they didn't want to give him no gift or no respect or no honor. Criticism will always be directed, towards those who lead because they are out in front. Some gonna be out in front. Some gonna be in charge. Some gonna be the king. And so now they about to have a king over them. Some of them accepting him and some of them not. So Saul was silenced. That was the right thing for him to do. Because you just been representing as a king, so you don't want to go word for word with them. They despise you. You have to just pray and take it to God, and God will lead you in the direction of how to respond to certain people that are going to despise you. So Saul was silent, and he took no notice to those who seemed to be against him. And that's how you have to be sometimes. So they were despised about him, criticizing, how someone like this, gonna save us, that was criticism, throwing a shot at him, so he didn't pay them no attention at all and stood silent. So we can't go back. We can't go backwards and forward. When you become to be a leader a lot of times, you have to defend yourself at some point when it gets so severe, and sometimes that just say a few little moments and walk away. But we can't go backwards and forward, you know. Construction criticism, but just don't spread vulnerable time, and energy worrying about those who may oppose you. Because you're a leader. So a lot of time when you're a leader, you can't step to that level and go backwards and forward. You know, Saul was silent, and he did the right thing. And sometimes you might be called scary, you might be called weak, and everything else. But the best thing when you're a leader to be silent, you take it to the high priest, you take it to God, and He will guide you in the direction of what to do next. So instead, we have to focus our attention on those who are ready and willing to help us. And that's what we have to do. Sometimes we can't deal with people that are going to despise us. You can't put too much effort in it. So we have to put our focus on the ones who willing to accept, who willing to help and move forward. So willing to help us, and God is our only true friend. That's what I had said. When he need guidance, he had to turn to God. You're not a king in other nation. You're a king that you still have to you work under God. And Samuel's still in charge. He just couldn't be a king running around and doing all the activity because of his age. But for guidance, direction, and everything else, it still goes to Samuel while he's still a living. So Saul did the right thing. After they represent him, you had some despise him, criticize him, and by Saul, just got represented as a king. He didn't want to put all his energy on someone and going backward and forward with someone making comment. He saved his energy for the ones who really wants to help and follow his lead. So that's all the word and news I have for you today. We talk about the Social Security, the retirement benefit age. It been 62 for a while. They're trying to change it to 60, between 66 and 67. But how time is right now. And it's not because you old. It's not because you're in the middle age. Because life, today or tomorrow, you might not be here. So I don't think it should be raised to 67. Because we pray every day. It's just like they're talking about Mr. Bennett, President Bennett age. It's not about his age. It's about if he got the strength and the knowledge to keep on going. Because a lot of young people is dying. So we can't go by his age. We got to keep on praying because we could be here 1 minute and gone the next day. And you don't have to be old to be gone. He got the knowledge, he got the experience. Let him do what he can do. If he got the strength, to keep on going, let him keep on going. Because it ain't about the age. You got too many young people is passed. So I request that you keep this the benefits age to 62. And they're trying to take the disability benefit from disability people. They don't have no other kind of income, from being disability. So they need this income for them. So we also talk about Saul. He been represented as king. He at the moment, he know the Israelite is a tough cookie. So he got afraid. He hid himself. When it's time for him to stand in front of the Israelite, they had to look for him. Whatever, like, well, where he at? We representing him. We calling his name. Where he at? He started hiding. And God knew where he was at. God said he hiding. He hidden himself under the supplies, the baggage. So they had to get him and drag him out, put him in front. So after they finished the meeting and represented him, then he walked, how you walk around, you mangle, so then he come across some people that despise him and criticizing him. So he did the best small thing. He was silent. He ain't made no remorse back and anything. Because sometimes you can't even give people your energy too much. because you're gonna be the step to this to their level too. So he did the smart move. He was silent, and then he walked away and deal with someone that was always willing, to help him and follow his lead as he gonna be a king. So that's all I have for you today. Y'all have a blessed night, and I'll see y'all on the next video.